गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are here gathered today to contemplate on the text called Vibhishana Gita, which comes in the Lanka Kand or the Yuddha Kand, one of the chapters of Ramayana. Have you heard of Ramayana, ma'am? You have, okay. That's why you are here. Huh? And this Ramayana is a great epic and historical epic which happened about 20-25,000 years ago in India. There are two epics, Mahabharata and Ramayana. Both are historical facts. And in this whole story of the Ramayana, we'll go into that later, but like you have, those who have been attending, or most of you have been attending, for last few years we are doing the Bhagavad Gita. It was the song of the Lord. It was given to Arjuna, who was standing in the middle of the battlefield. And what was his condition? Even though he was strong, he was valorous, he had the understanding, he had the knowledge, but he had a breakdown. He had an identity crisis in the middle of the battlefield on account of seeing the enemy, which was much more in number, but that did not stop him from fighting. But his interaction with the enemy standing opposite, that interaction was wrong. Instead of seeing the enemy, this Arjuna saw friends, he saw brothers, he saw cousins, he saw uncles, he saw grandfather, he saw his teacher, and that interpretation to the enemy brought about the breakdown in our Arjuna, and therefore that Bhagavad Gita came about. Similarly, there is another text called Ashtavakra Gita. Ashtavakra was a boy who was crooked in 8 parts, 8 points in his body. He used to walk like this. And in those days, in that particular kingdom, the kingdom was of Janaka Maharaj, Sita's father, and there the scholar in the court, he had challenged that anyone can defeat me, I will commit suicide, or I will kill myself, but if I defeat you, you have to commit, you have to kill yourself. So many people have died before, nobody could defeat him, including the father of Ashtavakra. And therefore, one day when he grows up and finishes studies from the school, he goes to the kingdom, because this time again this fellow, this scholar, this Pandit of the court has challenged everyone, and he goes there. He has defeated everyone in the court, and he goes there with his friend, and all the learned men in the court, they start laughing at him because he is walking in so much crooked. And when they start laughing, the first words that come out of this young boy's mouth is, I thought this was a congregation of wise men, but I see a congregation of only cobblers. Janak Maharaj says, the scholar and other scholars, suddenly it's a slap on their face. How how can this fellow call us cobblers? Doesn't he know we are Brahmins and this and that, educated ones? The King Janaka says, oh my dear child, why did you say that? Otherwise you will be punished. He says, I thought here we were invited to discuss about the truths of life. Ask these people, why did they laugh? Did they laugh looking at the self that I am? If they laughed at myself, then they were laughing at themselves also. But if they laughed looking at my skin, looking at my body, then they are no better than cobblers. Everyone kept quiet. And then that great king had the surrender, had the Sharnagati, had the thinking that this fellow is great. And he came down at his feet and he started asking questions, and that became the Ashtavakra Gita. So there is Avadhut Gita, where Dattatreya Maharaj is giving the knowledge to the people who are congregated and so on. Then there is Hamsa Gita, and there are many. And similarly in our Ramayana also, there is Lakshmana Gita, there is Rama Gita, there is our Puranjana Gita, and there is this Vibhishana Gita also. So these are, it is the, and a chance is taken by the narrator, here in this case Valmiki Ramayana, or even here in this case Tulsi Ramayana, Tulsidas ji. Every now and then the importance is not just the story. The importance is that while you are listening to the story of Ramayana, your attention goes towards the divinity of Rama. That is more important. While you are listening to the story of Rama, your attention goes to the divinity within you, so that you become a better person, so that you can imbibe these qualities, whatever are told in different Gitas, in yourself, in your life, so that your life becomes a smooth one, and a wholesome one, and a harmonious one, and an elegant one. So here in this manner, in our Vibhishan Gita, our Vibhishan Maharaj, unlike Arjuna, who was confused, who was despondent, who was having a crisis in his life on account of seeing the enemy, in Vibhishan Gita this is not the case. In Vibhishan Gita, who is there opposite? Ravana. Ravana, the 10-headed demon, or the Rakshasa, Asura. And on this side, Ramchandraji. And who is standing next to him? Vibhishan, the youngest brother of Ravana. And here, Ramchandraji is not having an identity crisis. Ramchandraji is not seeing the enemy as someone else. Ramchandraji is not having any doubt. Who is fighting the war? Ramchandraji. He has got no doubt. But the friend standing next to him, who is he? Vibhishan. He sees his brother coming on a chariot, on a absolutely golden, divine, with all the weapons of destruction, all missiles, astra, shastra. Shastra is those weapons which you can hold in hand and fight. Astra is which you can throw and destroy without being there, like missiles. Everything he has on the chariot. And he has got an armor which is nobody can pierce. He has got a Amrit Kalash behind his navel, which nobody can reach. He has got special protection. So he is, you can say, invincible. And here on the opposite side, looking at him, wow, a majestic person standing in a beautiful chariot. No question of being able to defeat him. And here next to him, Ramchandraji is standing without any shoes, wearing only one cloth, one Angavastra, no armor, only one bow and a quiver of arrows. And a doubt sets in the mind of this young brother of Vibhishana. Why this doubt comes? Not because he is not aware of the strength and the prowess of Rama, but it is out of love for Sri Ram that, O Lord Ram, you are facing this brother of mine who is in this chariot and armor and everything, and I don't see you with anything. You don't even have shoes to stand on. How are you going to fight? Can we organize a chariot? Can I call my chariot and give it to you? This is his doubt. And answering this doubt becomes the Vibhishana. This is the doubt, and the rest of the answer is the Vibhishan Gita. Just like in Arjuna's case, the doubt was, should I or should I not fight? And the answer to that became the Bhagavad Gita. So in this way, we come to this Vibhishan Gita. So it was, in Arjuna, it was the anxiety born out of attachment. Here, it is not the warrior's anxiety, it is the friend's anxiety born out of extreme love for the Lord, about his concern that how is he going to fight. Before we get into the text proper, we'll look at who do these Ram and Ravan represent in our life. This is an eternal conflict which is going on between good and bad, the holy and the unholy. And who is this Ram? Who is this Ravana? We will see. Who is this Ram? Rama is born out of fire to his father, the Dasharatha and Kausalya, and he lived for some time. He studied with Valmiki Rishi, and then after that to keep up the word of his father, because in the Sun dynasty the rule was prana jai par vachana na jai, that we will give up our life, but we will not allow the word given by us to go wrong. And his father had given a word to his third wife, that who had helped him in the war to escape and to remain alive, that I'll give you 3 boons. And at this time, on the day of his coronation, that youngest wife, wanting her son to become the king, encashes those 3 boons. First one is, your eldest son, the one who is going to be the crown prince, must become a sannyasi, means like me. Second, he must go away to the forest for 14 years. I think 2 boons, no? 2 boons. He must go away for 14 years. And Ramchandraji, wanting to keep the word of his father to be true, he immediately accepts what his youngest mother, who was very dear to him and he was the most dear to her, accepts that and goes away. And when he is going, Sita says, I will also come. Lakshman says, I will also come, and he goes away for 14 years. And in those 14 years, he defeats all the dark forces. Again, here it is told, if you look at between the lines, only when you renounce your attachments, then you will be able to defeat the dark forces which are lurking in your heart and mind. It is not possible otherwise. So we have to live a life of renunciation. How do we come to this life of renunciation just like that? This afternoon we were having a satsang at Rajendraji's place. There the thought came, in life, if you want to come to this point of vairagya, that is called dispassion, the first stage is dana. We must give donation. We must do charity. Not donation, charity. In charity, when we do, there is still ego involved, that I am giving for the benefit of someone. And someone gives me this shawl, if I don't use it for some time, they say, Swamiji, I gave you one shawl, where is it? And they feel very hurt when I say I don't know, or I have given it to, because I go through so many shawls that come and I can't keep it in my small room. I keep recycling. So, and sometimes after even 5 years, 10 years, they ask, Swamiji, do you still have that shawl? I don't even remember which one. So there is still, I gave to Swamiji, is Swamiji still using or not? I gave the donation, will I get tax benefit or not? This is the thing. So this is dan. But it should be done. because it is creating a mindset that I must give. In life, we must always be givers, not takers. If you do it for some time, and you have, because the one who gives, Lord gives him even more to give. And a point comes where that giving charity turns into tyag. The attitude inside is tyag. Is it getting too hot? Is it getting too hot? No? Okay. Okay, anyway. So, tyag. Tyag means give and forget. No benefit, no name, no fame, no recognition. Most of the people, when they give, they want to tell the whole world, I gave 10,000 rupees, $10,000 for the Hindu temple of Tasmania. Some people say, don't tell my name. You must have noticed that. So, second is tyag. That in Hindi they say, neki kar kuएं में डाल. Means do good and forget. It is not because I want allocations, I want to be remembered, I want to be the chief guest because I did something good for the community or the society. No, I do it good because it is the right thing to do and I don't want anyone even to know about it. That is tyag. And the third is vairagya. Living a life of tyag, of giving and forgetting, will lead to dispassion. So these are the three stages. Charity means giving and wanting recognition. Second is giving and not wanting recognition will lead to going beyond giving and not giving. Dispassion is no value to giving or not giving. Because a recognition comes that everything that is happening in life, when you come to the third stage, it is by His grace, not by me. If He wants me to give, spontaneously that feeling will come and He will make me give it. I will not decide to give or not to give. So these are the three stages. So Ramchandra ji has given up the kingdom and gone to the forest to subdue the negative forces, and eventually he defeats the Ravana because he has kidnapped his wife, and he comes back to the kingdom, and when he comes back to the kingdom he lives well for 12-14 years again, and then Sita ji becomes pregnant, and at that time someone in the kingdom, it was Rama Rajya. Rama Rajya means where there is, and he is the kingdom of Ayodhya. Ayodhya means where there is no war. Ayudha means, yudh means war, ayudh means no war. So that city of no war, where everyone harmoniously living, there one virus grows. As he was roaming around the kingdom, he found one lady who has gone away without telling her husband to her brother's place, and when she comes back next morning without listening to her, he says, "You cannot come into my house anymore." She says, "Why? I went to my brother." He says, "I don't know who's to believe. I'm not Ram who can take his wife, who can accept Sita back even after she has lived for 1 year with Ravana." So this type of allegation he was making against Rama, and that time Ramchandra ji has taken a different form and he is going around to get the pulse of the city. And at that very moment he says, "If this is the case, I renounce Sita here and now." And he renounces Sita, and she goes to Valmiki ashram, and she stays there, and she gives birth to the 2 sons, and eventually those 2 sons they grow up, and that is another story. And eventually they become the kings, and Ramchandra ji goes back to his abode. But what we need to remember in this entire story of Ramayana is Ram is Maryada Purushottam. He is the perfect man. The purpose that Lord has taken incarnation as Lord Ram is to show what one man can do in spite of all challenges and obstacles that come in your life. He never cried. He did cry when Sita was taken. It was out of love. But that crying did not take him into depression. He used that emotional energy and directed it to find Sita, and eventually that same energy, he directed it and harnessed it to defeat Ravana, the one who had kidnapped her. What we do, some problem comes, we dwell in the problem. Poor me, why me? Why all problems come only to me? Today also some people were saying, why only to us? Arey, why only to us? If problems don't come, how will you recognize what your potential is? If exams don't come, how do you know whether you have the capacity to pass them or not? The child learns, he does not cry, why am I falling every time while walking? You did not cry, or even if you cried but you did not dwell in it when you are learning how to ride a bike. You fell, you scratched yourself, but you continue. Now you are perfectly riding a bike. Same thing with car, same thing with scooter. So why you have this attitude towards life that problems are coming and only they are coming to me? See, others are smiling. No, you go and ask them. Everyone is having problems in life. But what is the attitude with which you are facing those problems? And Ramchandraji, being a Maryada Purushottam, from childhood, childhood was good, but after he was 16 years old, from that time onwards, he had lot of problems in his life. And reading or listening to his story, we come to realize how we should interact with the challenges that come in our life. What is the attitude that we have? We need to develop. And this is what he was: the best son to his father, he was the best brother to his brothers, he was the best husband to his wife, he was the best prince to all the people in the kingdom. Everyone loved him more than other brothers. He was the best friend of Vibhishana. He was the best lord of the Hanumanji, see, of Sugriv. So when he created a relationship, he lived to the utmost that was required in that relationship. He did not get confused, and therefore he is called Maryada Purushottam. And in this way, and who is this Rama? And this eternal conflict which is going on between, in the stories of Rama and Ravana, in the story of Mahabharata between the Kauravas and the Pandavas. The war between Kauravas and Pandavas was not a war, it was called Dharma Yuddha. It was establishment of the righteousness. And this conflict is continuously going within us also. Between the good thoughts and the bad thoughts, between the good me and the bad me. And every time these hoods of the bad me, they come up and they seem to be encircling us, encircling the good me again and again. And how do I get out? And then the question comes, but we see in this world why all the good people are always suffering and the bad people are always winning. This question so many people have asked us, that why do we see in this world that bad people are always, all the politicians in India, they are corrupt and nothing happens to them, only the poor fellow is suffering. See, understand, for this there is only one answer, and the answer is, it is not the one who is asking the question, he is also not good. It is the fight, what you are watching is the fight between the evil and the lesser evil. You are not seeing the fight between the divine and the evil, or the good and the bad. You are not seeing that fight. You are seeing the fight, the wars that are going on, the corruption that is going on. It is just relative and that relativity is only in the bad. Good hasn't even come into the picture yet. So I call myself good, but I am not doing my duty. Another person says, I am doing my duty, but I got only little bit, only once in my life I have done corruption. So just because he has done one time, he has given money under the table or taken money under the table, and the other has done 10 times, so you have become better than him. Whether you take little bit poison or you take that much poison, you still, you have taken poison, isn't it? So, you are also corrupt and the other one is also corrupt. Now, I never speak bad about anyone, but I never, okay, if I Be truthful, maybe 2-3 times if I remember. But compared to me, that person, oh my God, Swamiji, you don't even know, you don't even want to know. All the time only gossiping and talking bad about other people. So, have you become better than her because you have spoken only 3 times in the day about someone else? It's relative. So now the fight is between little bad and very bad. It is not fight between good and bad. Because when good comes, when dharma comes, when truth comes, bad has got no way of surviving. When the sun comes, darkness has no way of surviving. It has to go away. So what we are seeing in life and commenting that why good people are suffering, it is not the good people, it is the bad people only suffering. It is not good people. Recognize this. And we need to invoke the goodness within us. And that goodness is only with the divine theme. It is not in the outside world. The more we spend time wanting something from the world in order to establish our happiness. I am happy because I came to Hobart. I am happy because she made a soup. I am happy because the lecture went well. I am happy because the day was so beautiful. I am happy because I got a fantastic honey and lemon tea this afternoon. As long as my happiness is dependent on something, that happiness will never last. We need to seek the happiness which is our essential nature, which is the divinity within our, which is our core, which is our essence. And that can be accessed only when we live a correct life. Only when we invoke that which is already there. And how do you invoke someone? How do I invoke you? By calling your name, isn't it? If I want Bian to listen to me or give attention to me, I will not take your name. I will say Bian. And wherever she is, even if she is not within the vicinity, if I say loudly enough, she will say, yes, yes, Swamiji, what do you want? Isn't it? So this is how we invoke and get someone's attention. If you want the attention of the divine who is always there within you, as you, but you have covered it up because you have not called him, so the dust has covered, just like on a mirror, dust gets covered and you are not able to see your reflection. So your mind is covered with the dust of confusion, of the objects of the world, of the desires, of the shortcomings, of anger, jealousy, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, anger, greed, jealousy, hypocrisy, envy and arrogance. So all these things are covering our mirror of the mind and we are not able to see ourselves. The only way to remove is not, okay, I will take the anger, this is the Western way. We take the anger and try to deal with it. We take the jealousy and try to deal with it. We take the hypocrisy and try to deal with it. No, it will never go away. The only way to remove all of them once and for all is to invoke that principle, because without whom they will not be able to even express themselves, and that is Shri Ram. So call him out, he will invoke him, he will come. There is enough biographies of saints who have invoked and he has come. Look at Gora Kumbhar, look at Mirabai, look at Raman Maharishi, look at our Gajanan Maharaj. Look at, what is that? Sant Kabir. So many, India it's a land of sages. And every night I go to sleep only by reading a biography of some Mahatma. I don't go to sleep otherwise. Because they are living examples in our life. They also had difficult backgrounds, but yet living within that background, how they invoked this divinity within them, that is a story, isn't it? So this eternal conflict is not only for some chosen few, no, it is with every one of us. and we have to invoke the power, the strength, the valor, we need to have the fortitude, the steadfastness, the commitment, and the faith and devotion to invoke this power within us, so that the moment you invoke the divine, the undivine has got no place. It will vanish by itself. You don't have to worry about the undivine. If you think about the undivine, what you give attention to, it becomes more strong. What you don't give attention to, it loses impact on you. That is clear? So who is this Ram? Ram is the bliss within. The word Ram means Ram. Ram means the one who revels. The one who revels within your heart. How does he revel? Bliss. But where are we looking for the bliss? As I gave you examples before, outside. But foolish people, they think that by getting the objects of the world, they are getting the bliss. But what happens really speaking, I've given this example many times before. We take a gulab jamun, an Indian sweet, or take a chocolate. Till we have not got the chocolate, I want chocolate, I want chocolate, I want chocolate, I want chocolate. The moment the chocolate comes, the desire is satisfied but not completely satisfied, because that chocolate has not become one with you yet. It is still in your hand. Quickly the wrapper is taken out and the chocolate is kept on your tongue. The moment it is kept on your tongue, and at that moment what happens? First thing that happens, anything that you have been desiring, eyes close. And the desire for that object vanishes. Isn't it? For one moment before, the desire was there. But the moment that object is gained by you, that very moment, let it be a car, let it be a house, let it be a chocolate, let it be sleep, anything. At that very moment, eyes close and the thoughts about that object cease to exist in your mind. At that very moment, the bliss which was there within you, because there is no, no obstacle of the desire, that bliss is able to express itself. And we, like foolish people, think that that bliss we have experienced, the joy that we have experienced, is because of that chocolate. But actually it was from within. Because if the joy was in the chocolate, then for whole life you should keep eating chocolate only. If the bliss was in the car, then you must marry the car and sleep with her. Sleep in it. But that does not happen. If the bliss was in the food, then you should keep eating food 24 hours a day. But the truth is what? The fact is what? You start eating food, after some time, it is enough. No, I love it. Have some more, have some more. After that you will start puking. You will vomit everything. Then you will abhor that food. No, I don't. So that means it does not have the bliss within it. Recognize this in your daily interactions in life. That the bliss is not in the world. The bliss is inherent. And that bliss itself is Ram. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasra Nama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane. See? Shri Rama Rama Rameti. Keep taking the name of the Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame. Who is this Ram? In whom the Rama is revealing. Sahasra Nama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane. Better than one name, Ram, is equivalent to thousands of times taking the name of other different names of the divine. One Ram Nam is equivalent to all that. Why? The Ram itself means bliss. And that bliss which is inherent, that bliss which is your nature. So recognize this, and in this way, Rama means Ramante Yogino Yasmin. Another meaning of Ram is the one in whom all the yogis revel. Where do the yogis revel? Do they revel in the world or they revel in meditation? They revel in meditation. What is that which is pulling them again and again into meditation and they don't want to be involved in the world? The joy of the self, of being with themselves. So recognize this. Only one point. The bliss is not in the world. The bliss is within you. This is a very, very important point to psychologically balance yourself. That all the joy that you experience is the source of it is you only, not the objects. And once this clicks within you, then there is no running after the world. Then there is seeking, invoking the bliss that is within, without any object to support. Then the object is the Ram Naam. The object is meditation. Then the object is yourself. Meditation is in yourself, by yourself, to be yourself. See, this is meditation. And what do? We want a group to meditate. Then I feel good. I need ding, 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 ding music. Then I will meditate. One person I went, joke of meditation. What? Swamiji, we will sit in meditation. Okay. So like like military we say, attention, everyone sits. He says, now we start. Ting, everyone sits back straight. Now I will ring again and everyone will begin meditation. And when you listen to the dong again, you will stop meditation. It's a military drill or what? That someone can make it start and someone can make it stop. It is not like that. This is all jokers, Meditation is to be with yourself as yourself. It is your journey into yourself. Nobody can support you. Nobody can guide you. We are only giving you direction, but the journey has to be within you by yourself. No objects can help you there. So in this way, recognize and so yoginaha bhoginaha sarve anande eva ramante. So both yogis also and bhogis also, they are reveling in the bliss. Yogis are reveling in the bliss of the self. The bhogis means those who are wanting something from the world, those who are attached to the world, they are also getting bliss, but they are getting it from the world, from the objects of the world. But the joy gained from the objects of the world is temporary, but the joy gained from the self is permanent. This is the difference. So invoke Ram, who is the eternal bliss residing within your bosom, and be blissful. And the yogis, the wise men, they know this, and therefore I told you the steps: dana, charity. The next step was tyaga, giving up, and the third was renunciation. Renunciation means there is no value at all to the world. When you give that, whether you wear these clothes or not, you are a renunciate. So when my teacher asked me, are you ready for sannyas? Sannyas means to take renunciation. I said, Swamiji, you would know. No, you have to take sannyas. You tell me that, are you ready? So I thought at that moment, he's put me in a fix. What should I answer? Is there a correct answer? I don't know. At that very moment, I just went in and I said, Swamiji, for me, sannyas or no sannyas does not matter, because it is a state of mind. To wear these clothes or not wear this color, it does not matter. This is because of the parampara, because of the following a certain lineage. So I am getting these colors. But it is a state of mind. And whether you give me or don't give me, it does not matter. He said, come now. See? I had to be true to myself. 3 years ago, before he had asked me, I said, no, not now. That was about 10 years ago. So you have to prepare and you will know. Are you attached or are you not attached? Are you giving value to the world or are you not giving value to the world? And in this way, see, we are talking about joy from the objects of the world. Even when we go to pilgrimages, what do? Those who have come with me to Kedarnath and Badrinath, we walk 14 kilometers, arduous journey, hard walk, continuously climbing up, and we are sweating. We have never walked in our life so much. Upi has never walked that much. But he came, and wherever he used to die, he used to put his feet up on the mountain and lie down and, oh my God, people are going, watching, what is happening? Then it starts again. And what did you do when you reach Kedarnath or Badrinath? All the way he is thinking, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And when he reaches the sanctum sanctorium, he closes his eyes. Isn't it? We reach the temple, driving, preparing, dressing up, everything. When we go to the temple, look at the Lord, close the eyes. Why? Because knowingly or unknowingly we know the Lord is within our heart. The bliss is in our heart. It is not out there. That's why we close. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the Sikh Guru, first Guru, he also looked at a beautiful girl, and the mother of the girl, of this 15-16-year-old, she became disgusted. She said, you are a great saint, they say, and you are looking at my daughter and not even blinking. I did not think that you were going to be like this. He did not even hear probably. And she repeated twice, thrice. Then he came out of the trance that he was in. He said, oh mother, don't worry. Your daughter is no doubts very beautiful. But the moment my eyes fell on her, my attention went to how beautiful the creator of this beautiful thing is. How much more beautiful the God must be. I was not thinking about your daughter, I am thinking about the creator who can bring about this beautiful creation. See? So does your attention go to that, or we look at a beautiful girl or a beautiful car, and we have an accident? So this way, our Ramchandra ji is the Maryada Purushottam. He is Dharma Swarupa. Swarup means your essence, is your nature. And Dharma is righteousness. He is righteousness incarnate. There is no dirt in his personality. There is no corruption in his personality. In any situation, whether good or bad, he will always function from righteousness. Just like Lord Sri Krishna. Because Lord Sri Krishna, even at the end of the war, when Uttara's womb, the child in the Uttara's womb was destroyed by the missile sent by Ashwatthama, she called out to Krishna. Krishna went there. He puts his hand on the womb of on the stomach of Uttara, and he says, if I have lived my life without taking any side of Kauravas and Pandavas, let this child come back to life. When you look at the picture, or you look at the movie, read the story, it seems Krishna is on the side of Pandavas, because Pandavas are righteous, isn't it? But what is this statement? If I have never been on the side of good or the bad, of the righteous or the unrighteous. So who is Krishna? He is he who is beyond righteous and unrighteous. He is transcendental. So is Ram. But here in this incarnation, in this form of Lord Ram, he is showing that it is possible to live a righteous life. It is possible. So in this way, Ramchandra ji is he who gives happiness to others. He always sacrifices his life for others. He is always there for the downtrodden. He is always there for the good people. He is always there for those who are pious people. So Lord, in the Bhagavad Gita it comes, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya Sujatmanam tadatmanam sujamyaham. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrutam. Dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. I appear in this creation again and again for the establishment of righteousness. Whenever the righteousness goes down, the bad, the negative tendencies arise and the good tendencies become hidden. In order to revive the good tendencies or the goodness within the world, I keep coming again and again. Now don't think only from the worldly point of view that Lord came. He is appearing within you also. The feeling that you have to go to temple, the feeling that you have to sit in meditation, the feeling that you have want to come to the satsang, this is all His incarnation. Isn't it? The macrocosm is a reflection of micro, or the other way around. There is nothing, you cannot say you cannot separate micro from macro. You cannot separate a wave from an ocean. See? So, if this feeling is coming that I am at peace, so wonderful. You look at a beautiful rainbow. Today we are sitting by the beach. What was that beach? Sandy Bay Beach. And we are looking at the river. So beautiful, and the sun coming. Then I went to the satsang. Again, 4 hours, huh? The Lord is wanting to express, but are you allowing Him to express? Or are you obsessed with the world? Or are you empty? So someone at Manju's place said, Swamiji, thank you for emptying your cup for us. I said, my cup is always empty. Out of emptiness, everything comes. If they caught the meaning, God knows. I don't know if you have caught the meaning. Otherwise, keep thinking about it. Now, who is Ravana? Because Ram is within us, Ravana is also within us. This conflict between us of good and bad is going within us, isn't it? And that which is going on within us is reflecting out there in the world. So don't think why world is like this. The world is like this because you are like that. You improve, the world will improve. Do you think if I change, the world will change? No. Try, find out. Try and find out. I keep making this statement. I don't know how many have grabbed it or caught it and abided by it. For the world is same. For a negative person, there are only problems in this world. There are only obstacles in this world. There are only challenges in this world, isn't it? For one who is inspired and positive, the world is the same. He sees only opportunities. He converts the problems into challenges and goes beyond and tries to find a solution. And for those masters who are also living in the same world, the way the world is, they see it as perfect, isn't it? So where are we? Are we in the negative frame? Ravana? Because Ravan means the one who makes others cry. The word Ravan means the one who makes others cry. So are you the Ravana? So are your thoughts making you cry? Are your behaviors making others cry? See? Or are you the Rama, the one who rebels, the one who shares the joy with others, the one who sacrifices life for others, the one whose being is for the sake of others, not for himself? So which one are you? Everyone wants to be good, but Swamiji, आ गया, खत्म हो गया, sabotage कर दिया सीधे. All this is good, it is nice to listen, but to practice, अरे बाबा practice करो. When you practice, only then perfection will come. By thinking, perfection will not come. If a person is thinking, I have to go to gym to build up muscles, by thinking he is not going to build muscles. He has to go to the gym. If he goes to the gym the first day, he is not going to have any muscles, he will have only pain. Isn't it? If he overdoes it, and even if he does only 10 minutes, still he will have pain. But he has to go regularly. He has to have a proper diet. He has to get some guidance from the people there. And after 1 month, the same fellow says, yes, thank you for giving me the guidance, and now I can lift a matchstick. Isn't it? So we must have the ability and the readiness to put it into practice. Just by thinking, things will not change. We must apply them in our life. So those people who say, Swamiji, all that is good, but it is that but is coming because they have not applied it in their life. See? We are ready to apply, but we have not applied. I know all the information about meditation, but if I never applied, I never sat in meditation even once, what's the point of having all that information? I understand, some people are very, very expert. You open your mouth and they will complete your sentence. They are called professional satsangis. They have gone to master to master to master to master, and they know exactly all the principles. They have got it in their head. It's like a book in front of them. You open your mouth and they know. But look at their life, it's a big mess. Why? They have not applied it in their life. So application is very important. Such fellow who knows everything, has never applied anything in his life, is Ravana. Ravana was a great Pandit. He was a great scholar. He had studied all the Vedas. He had the power. He had the strength. He had concentration. He had invoked Lord Shiva, and he used to call himself, I am the greatest devotee of Lord Shiva. And yet, all that power, all that knowledge was only to satisfy his desires, not to surrender to the Lord. So through willpower, you can have the vision of the divine, no doubt, but it is only temporary. Oh, there are many stories in which, through intense concentration, people have had, the devotees, so-called devotees, have had the vision of the Lord. But has life changed after that? No lasting change. Because Arjuna got the knowledge from Krishna, did he realize? No, he did not realize. He still died an ignorant man. He did not become liberated. Dhruva's story we know. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He went at 7 years age, he went and meditated, and Lord came and blessed him. He says, what do you want? He says, Lord, you know what I want. He wanted a place on the lap of his father, where his stepbrother was sitting, the other lap he wanted to sit. Lord says, I'll give you a place on my lap. So that the morning star that you see is that Dhruva. But because he is being blessed by the Lord, did he become a good person? No. His stepbrother was killed by the tribals, and he went and killed all the tribals. At that time, Narad Muni had to come and tell, hey Dhruv, what will people say? They say that you have had the darshan of the Lord, you had the vision of the Lord, Lord came and blessed you, and here, out of anger, out of your attachment to your brother, you are killing these innocent people who were not, who did not even know who your brother was. Why you are punishing the entire tribal clan? Why don't you just punish those who did that act? When he realized that, he renounced the kingdom, he renounced everything. Suddenly he realized where he was going wrong. So having darshan of the Lord, having vision of the Lord, having a deep experience of silence on the seat of meditation is not equal to realization. You have to vanish. The I has to vanish. The individual has to vanish. See? And Ravana was such. Till it has not vanished, you are Ravana. And this Ravana, who is he? Even Lord Shiva and Parvati, Parvati and Shiva, they are living in Kailash. I am going again, third time, to Mount Kailash. And there, in the Kailash, inside the mountain, there is a Kailash Lok, and there is a tree, and the wish-fulfilling tree. Under that tree, these two fellow Shiva and Parvati are sitting. Parvati says, what is this? I was born a princess. I used to live in palaces all the time, under a tree, under the sky, everyone can see us. I need some privacy. So Lord Shiva helped her to build one palace. Now who's going to do the Graha Pravesh? Who's going to do the, what do you call? Inauguration of the house. So they called Ravana. He was a great Pandit. He was a great devotee of the Lord also. And Lord was again, and you are my greatest devotee. You are my greatest devotee. So it went into his head, I am the greatest devotee. Came, did the puja. At the end of the puja, dakshina has to be given. Some donation has to be given. He says, what do you want? He says, I want the palace. So Shiva and Parvati back under the tree. So the palace in his kingdom, in Lanka, was the palace which was built for Parvati. The golden palace. Such people are Ravanas. They seem to be good, but they are corrupt inside. Because me, mine is still there. Outwardly good, inwardly corrupt. Outwardly sweet, but inside their head a storm is brewing all the time. How I can, if they meet someone, how can I use that person? If I meet, so pharmacy, okay, can you get me some medicine? Doctor, can you do my blood pressure? You, what are you? Housewife, okay, make some food for me. Behind Chinese, okay, make some noodles for me. Always. What is in it for me is the motive with which people like Ravana conduct themselves in their life. What is in it for me? And that, what is in it for me, the desires keep, one desire breeds 100 more desires, and there is no end to it. And eventually it becomes a licentious life. And in Ravana's case, he even had the licentiousness, he became so greedy and wanting nothing in his kingdom of Lanka was of his own creation. Everything he had stolen from other places. The palace I just gave you, the example, it was Parvati's. The chariot that the flying saucer that he had, that was also not his, that he stole from Kuber. Like this, everything he has stolen from everywhere. He sees anything beautiful, it should be mine. So, Sita is beautiful, it should be mine. So, go. He will break all the rules of righteousness, and he will, even though he has all the knowledge, what is right and wrong, but he is unable to practice, apply it in his own life. And in this way, and so in this way, recognize that there are good thoughts and bad thoughts in your life, in your mind, and we must consciously support the good thoughts, not the ignoble thoughts. And for that, only a person who is living a God-oriented life will be able to wean away. Have you seen Matrix? Some of you? That is the way. Mr. Smith, he is the Ravana. Neo, he is the Rama. How that Neo, who has no power, becomes and recognizes that he is of the nature of light. And by the third movie, he converts all Mr. Smiths into light, isn't it? By the third movie. This is the journey of this individual, to recognize that he is divine. And once you recognize you are divine, your vision will be that everything is divine, just like the vision of the gopis. And in this way, only this person, like Sri Rama, who is steadfast in the values, in the right values, in the highest values, in the righteous values, is able to subdue the negative forces. See, a moment came in Ramchandraji's life when he has just finished the studies at the ashram of sage Valmiki, sage Vashishta, who was his guru, And his father said, go around the world, our country, and see how far our country stretches. And all the four brothers go in the chariot, they build roads, they build roadside rest houses, get the wells dug, they build ashrams for the sadhus and sannyasis, and they do lot of satsang, they do lot of good. After 6 months they return. When they return, the other three are good. Ramchandraji goes into depression. He says, is this all life is? About doing good? But having done good, has the bad vanished? Has the pain vanished? Has the disease vanished? What is the purpose of life? I am not able to get it. Even after studying all the scriptures, still it has not, because he has not applied it. 10 days he stayed in his house, in his room, locked the room from inside, no food, no drink, no bath, no sleep. And then Dasharath Maharaj, Kausalya, Kaikai, nobody was listening to. Then they called sage Vasishtha. He is a guru, he has to listen. So he says, Ram immediately opened the door. He looked at him, he understood. Some big doubt has caught his mind, and that has taken him into the downward spiral. He says, this is my question. What is the purpose? Who am I? I can't understand. What is my purpose? Why am I born? He says, I will give you answers. First, take shower. Second, eat some food. Because the food, the energy in the food goes into making your thoughts. Good food, good thoughts. Tamasic food, tamasic thoughts. Rajasic food, rajasic thoughts. Sattvic food, sattvic thoughts. He says, first eat food. Then we'll talk. He listened. And then there is a text called Yoga Vasishtha. Have you heard of it? 300,000 verses are there. 300,000 verses. Question answers between Ram and sage Vasishtha. Story after story after story to make Ramchandraji understand what is the sadhana, what is this journey, what is the purpose, what the self is, what the reality is. 300,000 verses. That does not come in Ramayana. That is separate part. They don't even mention it. See? Such was this Rama, who was steadfast in the knowledge, in the righteousness. Come what may. To this Ram, our Vibhishan Maharaj has towards this, out of his intense love for the Ram, and from birth, Vibhishan, Kumbhakaran and Ravan, three brothers, they have got the same education, they have got the same teacher. Ravana becomes lusty for life, Kumbhakaran becomes ignorant towards life, and Vibhishan becomes dedicated towards life of righteousness. See? Kumbhakaran, 6 months sleep, 6 months waking. Ravan all the time, more. Vibhishan, anytime you want to go and find him, he will be sitting and taking the name of Lord Ram, 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 Ram. Three brothers, Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. Vibhishan is Sattvic. And because he could not, so he even gave up his duty towards his elder brother and came to Lord Ram. So what do you understand from here? That if today also this came, how can we give up our attachment to our nears and dears? I am so disturbed by my children are demanding so much energy, so much attention, so much, my God, I am feeling exhausted, the problems never end. I said, Amma, renounce, come join me. No, it's easy to say, but this, that. You are only looking at the problem. Start shifting your attention towards the solution. And the solution is, as I said, invoke Ram. Not once and finish. No, invoke Ram again and again with deep intensity, with deep faith, with deep commitment. Break down in front of him completely. Not out of delusion, but out of understanding that he is the only solution maker. And he is within me, and I am not recognizing why. If he is within me, I am not able to recognize. This was the problem of Vibhishan. He did not find answers, he did not find solace. He tried to help Ravana to change his course, give up Sita. Even before the war began, he said, give back to Sita, and Ramchandraji is very gracious, he will pardon you. But who does he think he is? A 19-year-old boy is going to pardon me, who is the king of the whole world, of the three worlds. So this Vibhishan, who has taken the name of Lord Ram, who knows what righteousness is, who has applied it in his life, who is in love with the Lord, his care, this concern for the Lord is being expressed in this Vibhishan Gita. And here we'll chant a few. Those who know, you can repeat the refrain. Mangala Bhavana Amangala Hari Dravam Sudasharatha Ajira Bihari Ram Siya Ram Jai Jai Ram Ram Siya Ram Jai Jai Ram Ravanurati Birath Raghubira देखि विभीषण भयहु अधीरा अधिक प्रीति मन भासंदेहा बंदी चरण कह सहित स्नेहा राम सिया राम जय जय राम राम सिया राम जय जय राम नाथ नरथ नहीं तन पद त्राणा केहि विधि जीतब वीर बलवाना सुनहु सखा कह कृपा निधाना जेहि जय होई सो स्यंदन आना राम सिया राम जय जय राम राम सिया राम जय जय राम. So here begins the Vibhishana Gita. So here it begins that Ravanu Rathi Biratha Raghubira Dekhi Vibhishana Bhayavu Adhira. Ravanu Rathi, what does he see? He sees that Ravan is on a chariot and Ravana Rathi, and Rama is without any chariot. Biratha Raghubira, B Ratha, B means without, Ratha is chariot. This is he sees, this is the vision. Now how you interact with whatever is happening is your choice. Then that will depend what development has taken inside. Arjuna reacted in a different way, here Vibhishan is reacting in a different way, responding, or it is reacting only. So he sees Ravana on a chariot and he sees Rama without a chariot. And seeing this sight, Vibhishana, Dekhi Vibhishana, Dekhi means he saw. What did he see? This is what he saw, and became Bhayahu Adhira. He became afraid, not for himself. He became afraid for Ram. How is this fellow going to fight without a chariot? And out of this extreme love in his heart for the Lord, Shri Ram, Adhika, here it says that Adhika Priti Manabhasam Deha. Adhika Priti, intense love. Adhika means intense, too much. Priti means love. Intense love for the Manabha Samdeha. A doubt arose in his mind. Samdeha is doubt, Mana is mind. Bha means became expressed, became expressed itself. Bandi charana kah sahita saneha. And therefore, as this doubt arose in his mind, he bowed down to the feet of Lord Ram. Bandi charana. Charana means feet. Bandi means he caught hold of them and bowed down. And he spoke with great love and devotion to Lord Ram. What did he say? Nath naratha nahi tan pad trana. Oh Lord, you na ratha, you don't have a chariot. Nahi tan pad trana. And you don't have any armor to protect your body. Pad, feet, you don't even have shoes. Forget about armor for the body, you don't even have shoes. Nothing to protect you. And therefore, he says, Natha ratha nahitana padatrana kehi bidhi jitab bira balavana. Kehi bidhi. How are you, therefore, by what means, by what method, kehi bidhi. Jitaba bira balavana. How, by what means or method are you going to conquer this enemy called Ravan who is standing in front of you? See? And who is this? Bira Balavana. Bir means valorous, courageous. Balwan means strength, strong. So now here two things we have to understand, the meaning of Bira and Balwana. Then we come to Jehi Jaya Hoi So Shyamadana Ana. So that will come to that. So how are you going to defeat this Ravana who is not only valorous but he is strong also? This is the question of our Vibhishan Maharaj to Lord Ram. He is not demanding an answer, he is requesting. Don't demand from the Lord. Request. Have the proper attitude. Have the attitude of surrender and ask. He will answer. It is my experience in my life. Be nobody in front of him. Neither a father, neither a mother, neither a man, neither a woman, neither a CEO or an employee, a waker or no. Just drop everything. Just be only for him. Then you see the magic. And this capacity is there in every one of us. All you have to do is tap it. All you have to do is tap it. Why wait for special circumstances to appear? Only then this gets tapped. Huh? Why only when a child is born, the ability to nourish a child starts expressing, isn't it? Why a child is in trouble, then the concern for the child is there. Why only then? You have all heard of Amachi, Amritanandmayi Ma. She has got no children of hers. But she hugs, she is called the hugging saint. And she hugs hundreds and every day, almost 75 to 100,000 people she hugs. And even after 3 days of hugging in Chennai, the same smile is there on her face. The same fragrance. She is sweating, but the fragrance, the divine fragrance of the Vibhuti, it's still emanating from her. Not even one, I don't know when all this will finish. They don't even give me a break. Never even once. Why? She's not about one child, caring for one child. She is the mother of the creation. For her, every person who comes in her sphere of influence, she is a mother for that person. All those, you go and sit sometime, all those, the he-man, we are the boss of the family. They come in her embrace and they break down like a small child. I've seen it happen. See? So be, change, invoke. With that attitude, don't go with all that. Surrender to the Lord. then answer will come. And anyone who has been open to her energy and has been touched by her in that sense, their life has changed. Anyone who has had the vision of Satya Sai Baba or had the darshan of Sai Baba or have been blessed by Sai Baba, their life has changed. I'm just giving you two examples. You go to any master, your life will be changed. But why that happens? And then we go seeking master after master after master. So one person, when Swami Chinmayananji was passing away, he was sick. The person went and asked in Sydney, Swamiji, hey, your health is so bad, one day you will go away. After you go away, then whom will we go to? Why? If you are not there to support us, where do we go? We need someone to hold on to. He said, go to Ammachi. Go to Sai Baba. See? So we want a replacement. That is not the answer. That qualities and the abilities and the love that master is exhibiting in his life, that is there in your heart also. How long will you keep searching it outside? Invoke it within your heart. For that, a bit of regularity, a bit of commitment, a bit of regular practice, a readiness, and making yourself able that yes, I can do it within this life. That commitment is required, that's all. So here, Bira, the word here, it was told, Bira Balwana. Bira is a Awadhi language. This whole Tulsi Ramayana, the verses that we just chanted, they are from Tulsi Ramayana. Tulsi Ramayana was written in Awadhi language. Awadhi language is the language of Ayodhya and all that in that area. And it is like in Bengal and Bihar and Ayodhya, if I have to say Vikram, they will not say Vikram, they will say Bikram. V is replaced by B. So here, therefore, Veera is the word, valorous, but they use it as Bir. People may be valorous, but merely having physical strength, is it enough in life? I have the strength, I have the means, I have the weapons, I have the missiles. Have I become the overlord of the whole world? Has America become the overlord of the whole world? Whichever country America has touched, that has gone to dogs. Whichever country Russia has touched, it has gone to dogs. Why? Why is this happening? They have the strength, they have the missiles, they have the nuclear missiles, all their soldiers are perfectly, everywhere you touch there are weapons. They are fully trained, they are a machine in themselves, single pointed that we have to defeat the enemy. Then why are they not victorious? Why are they not able to bring peace on this planet? Why? In your life, if you have the ability, you have the strength, you have the knowledge, and you keep correcting the child, if you don't do it, kadak and dadak. In childhood it is okay. After growing up also, one day the son will say, Dad, keep your hand to yourself, otherwise I'll take it out. Don't you dare. That day, Dad goes into depression. Ma, I gave him birth and he is behaving like this with me. So strength and valor. Valor is the courage and strength is balavana. Balavana is brute strength. It can be mental strength also. That is not enough. So you can see this verse when he says, Kehi bidhi jitava bira balavana. How are you going to fight this one who is bir also, who is valorous also, and who is balwan also, who is strong also? Ravana, he had all the missiles, he had all the weapons of destruction, He was strong within himself. He had the concentration. By merely thinking, he could destroy things and beings. That much power he had. By merely thinking, he could conjure up imaginary situations and make the people opposite him get lost. And he tries that with Ramchandraji also. Is that enough to fight a war? We also go into meditation. For example, we do yoga. This exercise, that exercise, this, all the animal poses that we do. And when it is not there, when something is blocking, and we force and force and force, stretch, stretch, stretch. Then once that is done, then breathing. And this one, and then this one, then Lom, Anulom, Bhasrika, Kapalbhati. These are all willful exercises, isn't it? These are all willful exercises. Then Ram, Swamiji said, chant Ram. Oh, Ram, 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 Ram. Oh, how many more left? Okay, Ram, 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 Ram. And everything is forceful. You can invoke the willpower. No doubt you can invoke the willpower to do yoga, to do pranayama, to take the name of the Lord. But willpower will not take you to the destination. It will not. It will make you into a Ravana eventually. Because Ravana also invoked willpower to have the darshan of Lord Shiva. But his life did not become a positive one. He was still very sensuous. He still wanted everything for himself. He did not become a devotee of the Lord. He did not surrender to the Lord. To be a devotee of the Lord and to surrender to the Lord, it's two different things. See? So what is the best way to rule? By winning the hearts of the people, not by brute strength. So Ramchandraji, he will tell afterwards that here, I'll tell you what are the different types of Veera. The first Veera means valorous, strength. So first is Ranaveera, the one who is valorous in the battlefield. Arjuna was Ranaveer. Prithviraj Chauhan was Ranaveer. Ashoka was Ranaveer. So who is dexterous in battle? Nobody can defeat. Just the mere name Arjuna used to send shivers in the hearts of the enemy. Such is Ranaveer. Yes, our Ravana, he is a Ranaveer. But there is one fault here. If he was Ranaveer, he would not have sent his brothers, his sons to fight first. He would have come. He used all his forces, got them killed, and as the last resort, he is coming. So yes, he may be a force to reckon with, but he did not apply it in the right time. He should have come in front, in the beginning itself. Second Veera. Second Veer is Danaveer. Danaveer is the one who is valorous in charity, who never stops giving, whatever little bit is there. There is a story, a person was sitting on the roadside begging, and he had a 50 pice, say 50 cents in his bowl. Someone has given him, put the money in the begging bowl. At that time, this fellow has not eaten anything for 2 days. Now he is waiting. I got 50 cents. Oh my God, I can at least get some chips or something to eat and something will go into my stomach. At that time, another small child comes. He has also been begging. People have not been giving that child any money. But he comes to this beggar and he says, Uncle, can I get that 50 cents? I am very hungry. And he takes that 50 cents, he was looking forward to eat something, but he gives it to that child to satisfy his hunger. That is Danaveer. He is not thinking about his hunger, but he is thinking about the others. So Danaveer, that means who never shies away from giving to other people. Third is Dayavir, the one who is ever compassionate, always is concerned about other people's welfare, of the needy, of the sick, of the downtrodden. And, and even all the Rakshasas, all the demons or the negative forces that he kills on the battles, none of them went to hell. If you read Ramayana, all of them at the time of death, the soul came out of them and merged into the Lord Ram. So he gave them liberation. Their approach was maybe not the right one, but that is all they knew. But he gave them liberation. So he is compassionate even towards his enemies. The fourth one is Vidyavir. Vidya means the one who is valorous in knowledge. He had studied, just like in 3 days, he studied all the scriptures from sage Vashishta. Ravana, he did not do it in 3 days, but he was one of the most educated scholars of those times. There was none who could defeat him in a debate. All the knowledge, not only of this world and the other world, everything that is given in scriptures was at the fingertips of Ravana. So also Ram. But who made the correct use of that knowledge? Having all the knowledge and still living a sensuous life, what have you applied in your life with that knowledge? Whereas Ramchandraji, he has applied it in life. From the time when he met sage Vashishta in his room when he was locked for 10 days, from that moment onwards, he knew what his essential nature was. He became realized. And his rest of his life was only an expression of that realization. So he applied it. So he did not use the knowledge for his own selfish, perverted purposes. He used that knowledge for the benefit of others. And the last one is Tyagavira or Dharmavira. Dharmavira is the one who uses all this courage and strength for establishment of righteousness in every situation of life. Whereas Ravana knows what the dharma is, he knows what righteousness is, but he is not ready to apply it in his life. So therefore we see here that both of these fellows, in Ravana, all these qualities, it seems they are there, but their application is not there. His abidance in these knowledges in these 5 types of strengths is not there. Whereas Ramchandraji, he has all these 5 qualities or 5 strengths, and they are abundantly expressing in his life if you read his life story. And in this way, Ramchandraji, in response to this, tells Vibhishana, Jehi Jaya hoi so sendana ana. He says, my chariot is not a physical chariot. My chariot is not the one with missiles and physical weapons. My chariot is not with the horses and the way you see Ravana is having. I also have a chariot, but it is made up of, I'll tell you what its horses are, what its reins are, what its chariot body is, what its flag is, what its wheels are, I'll tell you. And what is that, we will see in our tomorrow's class. So this is the chariot of righteousness. And when we ride this chariot of righteousness, which is invisible, it is not physical, there is no way you can ever be defeated in life. The life will automatically become harmonious, elegant, integrated. So, with this, we will conclude today's talk and meet you tomorrow at 4 o'clock, isn't it? 4 o'clock. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। मंगल भवन अमंगल हारी, द्रवंशु दशरथ अजिर बिहारी। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। So let's live in the lap of Lord Ram, thinking of Lord Ram, nourished by Lord Ram, guided by Lord Ram, and eventually merge into Lord Ram.